Hey guys, in this video I did a collaboration with two other YouTubers. If you check on the description below, you'll see their YouTube. We went over dividend investing, being entrepreneurship, how to actually look at different companies and ETFs in order to invest. Definitely recommend listening to both of their channels as they put a lot of good insights into investing. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, and definitely like, subscribe, and comment on the others' channels as well.
All right, guys, welcome to the collaborative video here. My name is Jason. My channel is JMac Investing. We also have Lance. Lance has a channel that Investing Teacher, and then we also have Mario. Mario Parra he has a channel as well, and
Yes,
we're all
sir.
investors. Yes, sir. We're all investors, and we're gonna interview each other, essentially go over some questions that may be of interest to all of you, and we'll share some of our investing insights and get to know each other and get to know all of you a little better as well. So, you guys want to say hello?
Of course.
Hello, down here from Texas in the hot heat.
Hello, everyone. I'm in the west coast of the USA, Los Angeles to be exact. So, hello,
LA, big city of dreams, huh?
of course.
Cool. All right, so we got a list of questions here, and we'll just go down them one by one, and we'll do it round robin. Lance, I'll ask you, you kick it off, and we'll just go around the circle. So the first question we have is, what inspired you to start investing, other than a desire to gain wealth? Which, at the end of the day, that is, essentially what it's all about. But is there anything that inspired it in your to kick you off investing?
Yeah, well, when I knew I was going to be a teacher, and this was 12 years ago, I knew that I was going to have a pension, which very few careers out there, unfortunately don't have anymore. A lot of people have to do their own, Roth IRA, 401k, and whatnot. So I knew I had some sort of cushion, at least when I'm retiring. But I don't want to necessarily think that's my only source of income for retirement. So pretty much right off the bat, once I started teaching when I was around 25 years old, I was going right into the Roth IRA. Actually, before I was a teacher, I was a financial advisor, and I knew a lot of the ins and outs of investing. Unfortunately, I thought I would be teaching other people about money and how to deal with it, but it ended up being pretty much a big sales job, and I would just try to sell pretty high commissions and high fee advice, where I started to look at the numbers, and one of the biggest things you could do is lower your investment costs. So I was a science teacher, and I already had that background a little bit. A lot of other teachers started to come up to me just asking for, quick advice, quick tips, and that kind of gave me more inspiration for me to build my wealth as well. So that's my main.
So what do you teach? What subject do you teach?
I teach high school science. I've done pretty much every high school science class you could imagine. This year I'll be doing chemistry, AP biology, which is college level biology, and actually forensic science. So it's looking at crime scenes and solving them. It's pretty fun.
Interesting. Very interesting. That's cool, man. I don't know how you do it with working with these kids these days, but props to you. That's pretty awesome.
I love that job.
Lance, I would have been your worst enemy, man. I was a big clown in high school.
I've had some students that seemed like they were big clowns, but then when I was going over investing, they were pretty interested, and they listened to me at that point.
That was me. That was exactly who I am.
Go ahead, Mario. You pick up that same question. What inspired you?
Well, honestly, so growing up, I've always had the entrepreneur mentality. I've always wanted to own my own business. I've always wanted to gain passive income. Even though I didn't know what passive income meant, I mean, at the time, I kind of had an idea. I just wanted money working for myself. So when I found out that you can invest your money and have that money working for yourself, that's what really inspired me, just the passive income. Other than gaining wealth, I also just see, like I said, I just see the extra money coming in that you don't really have to, you don't have to work for. So that's really the main reason.
All right. Yep. Makes a lot of sense. Cool, man. I guess for me, it's sort of I have a few different takes on that, but I would say kind of one thing um, that I've always been sort of a collector. Like I collected baseball, football cards, everything, and coins and currency as a kid. I even had a lot of cards, and I used to even I ran a little store like selling cards out of my bedroom. So
Oh,
I mean, I
wow.
set it up. I set it up like like a
Was it
glass
eBay?
case, and everything. So and I trade and sell cards. So that
Was
was
it,
back in
was it through eBay?
huh?
Was it through eBay?
No. This was live and in person. This is before
Wow.
pre-internet. Really, I mean, I guess internet
Oh,
was maybe coming up, but yeah, no. So and anyway, so that and then just getting older, and then beginning to think about things. I just crossed over the 40 mark, so I'm and I had a 401k, and but it just so that's such a passive approach, and I also took a dab. If you've watched some of my other videos, I took a stab into cryptocurrency, lost big, and then but that really did whet my appetite for investing in commodities and those types of things. Even though I don't invest in commodities really, but in other words, that's kind of what I consider crypto and Bitcoin, a commodity, not really necessarily, um, a real investment, but everyone has their own opinion on that. But that kind of really, yeah, that got me thinking about getting my dollars working for me,
Mhm.
So cool.
Good point.
All right, so we
that's
got
where it's at. That's where it's at. You really just want the passive income, and you want your family to grow.
I wanted my money to begin working for me, like where I could control it too,
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
yeah. So I guess that sort of leads us right into the second question which is why did you choose dividend investing? And this may not be applicable for all of us. I know Mario, you dividend invest some, but I don't really know exactly what all you invest in. But so the question is, why did you choose dividend investing over other types such as growth stocks or non-paying dividends stocks?
All right. So I do have a pretty large percent of my Roth IRA into dividend investing. Uh, all of my ETFs, and I primarily do ETFs instead of individual stocks, all do pay a dividend. Some pay a higher yield than others. A pretty large percent of my funds are in small cap value stocks, which is a bit lower in the dividends. It's about 2%. And I used to have even more as a percent in there. But over the past 6 months or so, I've been leaning more towards the higher yields, like REITs, VNQ for Vanguard, some of these covered call strategies that will pay a higher dividend and more of a monthly dividend. So I think it's a better strategy for at least for teachers because they could see a more reliable stream of money coming in month after month, and you're not necessarily hoping for the appreciation of the ETF itself. I think it's a pretty good motivator that you see, that income coming in every month or every quarter, and that gives you that motivation, almost like a snowball, to keep building it more and more.
Right on. Cool.
So
Mario?
yeah, so I mainly dividend invest. The only every now and then I'll do a swing trade. If that's what you were wondering. So every now and then I'll swing trade just because I see a good downturn, so I'll invest and just wait for the upturn and just flip it for a quick profit. But dividend investing, like Lance said, it's a snowball effect. You just kind of roll down the snowball and it just builds up over time, and that's what really I was looking for. Like I said earlier, um, passive income and just having a guaranteed cash flow, a positive cash flow at least.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. That's a good answer. I also I'm similar in that regard where I mean obviously bulk of my portfolio, um, well, 99% of my portfolio is dividend investing. And then as I was really kind of filling out the investing landscape and all the different strategies, I really embrace the dividend growth investing strategy, because you really these companies, a lot of these companies grow their dividend, so many of them for 25, 35, up to 50, 60 years. And so that means you could get into companies, and if you just the income being paid from some of these dividend stocks, or even ETFs, because some of them they have ETFs that track the same, track dividend achievers or dividend aristocrats, those types of ETFs, and your income from dividends just keeps going up and up and up and up. Whether the market's up or down, doesn't matter. Your dividend income stays consistent. Like you said, Lance, as far as teachers, that's a good strategy. But I will also, swing trade, and I try things, like I even tried options for a little bit, but it just wasn't for me. I just didn't have the wherewithal to. It's almost like gambling, essentially. So, but everyone has their own thing. So, but as I was coming up, when I first started dividend investing, it was mostly, I was really, like most people, chasing yield, and then got burnt really, really, really quick doing that, and then I moved into dividend growth investing. So, yeah.
Good. Next question.
All right, let's moving right along. So yeah, we're at 10 minutes. So question number 3: how do you balance the need for current income with high yield with high growth of dividends in the future?
Yeah, this is a question that I'm kind of balancing on my own, and I'd like to hear your opinions as well. Getting a good yield obviously feels good in the short term, especially if you see that money coming right away. But in general, they are more risky. They're not going to grow as fast, and sometimes they could actually lower and cut their dividend. You also have the other side of the coin, where if you look at I think it's the dividend aristocrats or something, one of the Vanguard ETFs, I think they have all the 10 years of growth. Their current yield is really low. It's about 1.8%. So sure, it is growing year after year, but it has that lower yield. So my strategy is I do a little bit of both. I have some that are pretty high, 4 or 5% yields, and then I have some that are around 2% yields that ideally will grow. And I'd like to hear your opinions on how you strike that balance between the high yield or low starting yield with bigger growth.
So the way I see it, I really just invest in 4 to 5% dividend yield, for the reason being those companies or building over time they give you more dividends. They build their dividend, and they're usually blue chip stocks. That's like really my main focus is their blue chip stocks with 4 to 5%, because once you start going to like 10 to 12%, that's when you're just like, whoa, that's a high yield, but are they really growing equity, or are they really gonna, be in business for much longer? So I just really, personally, I kind of look for a 4 to 5% blue chip stock.
Nice. Right. Yeah. So what I really I guess we're gonna. I don't know if we're gonna get into it. I think we are. So I don't want to go too much into it, but like because the way I screen stocks is I start with making sure they're a company that grows their dividend. Once they check that box, then I move to is the company growing year over year, and that would apply also even for high yielding company, because there are cases like right now, like Altria, ticker symbol MO. That one, them and AbbVie are both over 6% yields, and that typically with a regular stock, a non-REIT, I would typically be turned away from that. But those two are actually good examples of companies that grow year over year over year, and that are a good, solid company. So it really comes down to the individual analysis of the company, and their year over year performance. So if those things, if they check the checkbox and it's still a high yield, then I'll still invest. But my main bigger taxable account is like, which I'll get into the reason why I have my biggest part of my portfolio in a taxable account later. But its yield overall is 3.8%, which I think is a good, fairly safe yield. And they're all dividend growing companies. So,
with that being said, hold on. With
with that being said,
ADV is very undervalued. So, when you look at stocks that are undervalued, it's also a great time to buy. Just like STAG, Industrial, it kind of went down this week. So when you find discounted dividend stocks, it's always a great time to buy.
Right. Yeah. Well, when they become undervalued, the yield goes higher.
Goes up. Yeah.
So you
exactly.
can get it. You can get into them when the yield on cost, where the dividend yield is high, but they're value stocks for sure.
Exactly.
Cool. Next question is, how does your investing strategy relate to your personal philosophy of saving?
Okay, so when saving money, ideally, I think most people should work on their budget before they even think about investing, making sure that your fixed expenses are a certain amount, the variable expenses, going out to eat compared to, eating at home. Those are pretty set. And then you have at least a certain percent of money that you're able to save for the future. I agree a lot with the Dave Ramsey baby steps up to a point, saving before you get out of debt, saving at least $1,000 and so on. That's a whole nother avenue. I don't completely agree with all the steps he does, but pretty good, at least first few steps. Once you have that cushion and you could reasonably save at that point, I think a Roth IRA is probably the best vehicle you could use, even before even having a fully funded emergency fund. I have enough in my principal to easily have an emergency fund, and I could take out all that money tax-free. However, I purposely are leaving more in my Roth IRA compared to just a basic savings account, because I like that flexibility of trying to make it grow. Now, in terms of what I'm actually investing in, starting with those 3.5-4% yielding ETFs that I buy, that gives a reasonable cushion. So even if I did have to somewhat take away some of the principal, I am getting those steady paychecks. So that's why I do like those dividends, especially if they're growing month over month.
Right.
So the way I could relate my investing strategy to my savings, well, I just want, honestly, since the way I invest is to build cash flow, the way I save isn't really like your normal saving, like how normal people save. The way I see it is, I should be increasing my income year by year or month to month, whatever the way you see it. I should be increasing my income and having more cash flow, month to month, and I should be having that money working for me. That's really how I relate my investing strategy to my savings.
Yeah, we got a good mix
having
here.
More assets.
I was gonna say we got a good mix because you're so young. Your strategy is completely different. Could be completely different than obviously someone older. Yeah. So it's good to have your perspective here. It's pretty neat because I guess we didn't mention Mario is a 19-year-old entrepreneur. So he's only 19, but he's knee deep in investing. So it's pretty cool.
Just graduated in the class of 2018, man.
There you go. I have students in 12th grade from last year. Could have been right around the corner for all I knew.
But I've been investing since my second semester of senior year, so I was already investing there.
Good job.
That's cool.
Starting young, just looking at all the numbers, that compound interest, you're in a great situation to start so young.
I actually made a video on compound interest and how it works. Little brief summary about it.
That's cool. Yeah. So I guess so I got kind of started late in the game. So I'm very aggressively investing. So and that's part of the reason like I said, I do have a Roth and I have a traditional reason I have and I split it right now at current because I'm working on a 1099. As a contract employee, so every little bit of tax advantage I can get, even right now this year, not looking long term. So I'm splitting it $3,000 each, and then more aggressively investing into a taxable account, which also, I mean, you never want to sell, but in a taxable, if you're in a dire situation, you could actually, you could get to that that money. So, but I obviously do have a little bit of a savings. I do save for rainy day fund, but I'm a pretty aggressive investor. So, yeah, so probably a little
Now,
bit different.
what do you do, JMac?
I'm a software developer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, I'm a full-time employee for a company, but it's a startup. So the guy, he isn't ready to bring on W-2 employees right now. But I've been working with him for over a year and a couple months. So,
So you're a subcontractor.
oh yeah, I work as a contractor, but I mean, I'm really I'm his main full-time employee. So I do all of his development. So, but he don't have his business structure all in place yet to have W-2 employees. So I'm working on 1099, and I buy my own insurance. So it's a lot to it, but wages are high, so it all kind of balances out.
That's good. That's good.
Have you ever thought about doing a self-directed IRA? Because I think you could invest more.
Yeah, but I think the question number 10 that's when I'll get into why I'm not going too strong in it.
Yeah.
Because
So
I'm trying
number 5.
to retire early. That's the main reason.
Okay.
I'll explain it later, but so we'll go to number 5. So we're moving right along because we're at 20 minutes. So question number 5 is: do you have dividend goals or investing goals in general? If so, what are some of them?
Okay, so my main dividend goal now is to make $100 a month in monthly dividends, and I've been doing an investment series on that as well. I just recently showed my July numbers. I'll be investing in 3 main ETFs. It's SPHD, which is the low volatility, pretty high yields, that they take the 50 companies from the S&P 500 with the highest yield, and they reinvest there. It gets about a 4.something% monthly. There's EFAS, which is an international high yielder. I think it's the top some 50 companies. And RYLD is a covered call strategy where they actually buy small cap blend funds and then they sell a covered call. So that pays a monthly dividend as well. So yeah, my main goal is to get to $100 a month. And I think it's pretty reasonably able to get there with reinvesting my dividends and putting in contributions. Investing goals, I'm not really sure. It's hard to track exactly what's going to happen with my account value, but I think the dividend value is something that you could easily track and see where we're at. If you know that your stock or ETF is paying a certain amount per quarter or per month, you could calculate out, if I save X amount, I'm going to get Y amount back in dividends. So I think that's a more reasonable goal to work with.
So I'm blessed enough to not have to live with my parents and not have the bills, the older generation has. So I've actually crushed the $100 monthly dividend goal. I'm working on getting to 150 or maybe 200 by the end of the year. But my main goal for investing is just to have my money working for me, like I said, and also so that I can have enough capital so that I can invest in a real estate property here in Los Angeles. That's really my main goal.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm same as you, Lance. Right now trying to build a portfolio to $100 a month in dividends as well, and because I really only started my main portfolio in April or late February, so just a few months in, and but yeah, so tracking towards that goal pretty quickly. And I'm hoping because and to have the portfolio at 20 grand by the end of the year, just the taxable, that's the goal this year. But then, like you said, that could it could fall out 25%, and then I may have put in 20 grand and it be at 17.5. But like you said, the dollar amount of the portfolio is not a big, it's not a big motivator for me as the dividend income coming in. Yeah,
I agree.
But you shouldn't even be worried about it. I mean, the only reason you would ever trade it at is because if you have emotions affecting it. Just don't trade emotionally.
Right. True. Yeah. Right. So those are really just my two, and I'm actually about to do a video on it. Well, because I did one a couple months ago, and I'm gonna follow up on it in maybe a couple weeks. So that covers that one. Number 6 is what characteristics do you consider when analyzing a stock?
So I'm more of an ETF investor. I don't own any individual stocks, but when I'm looking at ETFs, I want to see, is the expense ratio relatively low? I don't want to be paying someone else when I could be doing it myself. I want to look at the dividends in general, have the dividends at least maintained its level or possibly increased over time. I don't want to see any cutting in dividends. That kind of ties into the next question when you want to sell a stock. And yeah, just the rising dividends or a pretty high dividend yield is the main things I look at. And looking at the past history of that ETF.
Sounds good. I mainly look at the dividend yield one, and then I look at the how they're doing the past 5 years, and I also look if they've raised the dividend or lowered the dividend. That's really my main 3 things.
Got you. So yeah, so I sort of was talking on what I use for stock screening. It starts with dividend growth because I do mostly. Well, I mean, I own SPHD and another one PEY, which is a monthly payer, and that one tracks Dividend Aristocrats. That one's fairly cheap. It's only $18. So someone wanting to get into dividend growth ETF, that's a really good one for really cheap. And it's like 3.7% yield. So. And then it's all kind of individualized, like when I was building out my portfolio of individual stocks, it was trying to get a big diversified group and also diversified between yield as well. So I have some, like Costco, it's less than 1%, but it's more of a growth company, but it's a dividend growth company as well. So it depends on the company, but I think at the end of the day, my main things are to make sure it's a dividend growing company and that it's a growing company just in general. Even if it's a slow growing company, if it's not retracting, then I'm good with it. So, yeah. So the next question is, when do you consider selling a stock?
Yeah. If they cut their dividends is one of the main factors. Cutting the dividend makes it appear that they may not be as strong as they think they are. I don't necessarily sell, but I might rebalance from time to time if my asset allocations are off, and if I have too much in international, not enough in the U.S., I might sell some of the international just to get the asset allocations back in line. That's really the only times I'd consider actually selling. Never had to sell a stock to actually pay the bills or anything like that. So. That's my answer.
The only reason I'll ever consider selling a stock is if I'm up 5 to 10% in profit, or if I ever just need some liquidity money. But I mean, I don't ever think I'll ever need that because I do have a savings fund, like you guys were saying earlier. But whenever I see a profit, I'll sell, and maybe I don't feel good about the company, I'll sell. So that's about it.
Mario, when I was around your age, I bought Google in the IPO, and it shot up immediately. It went up at least, I think, 15% within a month, and I sold all of it. That was not a good decision.
Wow.
But I still made a good amount of money at least.
Lance, I think that would have been a great decision because it would have probably went down after the hype.
Yeah. You never know.
It would have been a quick profit. It would have been a quick profit for you. So you would have sold on top, and then when it went shot back down, you should have bought again.
But I think he's more talking about if he would have held it, it would have been $1,200 stock now.
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
Right, because it was probably when you bought it, $50, $100?
It was around 70 a share. It was insane.
Yeah. So you're looking at many multiples there.
Interest rate for sure.
So for sure for me, if a company cuts its dividend, then it gets cut out the portfolio. And then I was in Qualcomm when they went through that thing with Apple, and Apple settled with them, and it just went crazy. In 2 days, it went up 70%, and I did sell Qualcomm, all of it, which I wouldn't typically do that, but I was looking at it, I was like, okay, because and the fundamentals of the company weren't they're good, but they're not tremendous. So I was like, okay, this is probably an anomaly, and it went right back down within a month or two. not to levels where I bought in at, but it dropped 20-30% from that huge run up. So in a situation like that, I would consider, and I will take profits on 30, 50, 60. I try not to ever sell out of a whole position, but if I, can get it where I almost can hold a company forever with, where I didn't really pay anything because it's already doubled or tripled. That's a consideration as well. And rebalancing, like you said, Lance, that's some of the times I would do that. Okay, so next question is, how do you balance investing with budgeting? Good question, too.
Yeah, I'd like to hear your opinions as well, because this is a psychological thing that keeps popping up over and over. Knowing how much I bring in a month, I used to be very stickler, like looking at every dollar and exactly where it's heading to see how much extra I had that I can invest with. Nowadays, I'm a little bit more lenient on that regard. Like if I see a certain ETF drop a bit in price, I typically will buy then to try to buy at lower cost and get more shares that way. So yeah, I'd like to more hear your opinion on what you do there. Like how much of a cushion are you comfortable with to have in savings? If that gets too low, like will you slow down your investing to get back to the savings and whatnot?
Okay. So for one, I make sure my bills are paid. Right? And then two, I invest the rest. That's all. That's all I do. Pay my bills and invest it. That's it. That's literally all it is. So, once the bills are paid, everything else goes to investment. I don't go out. I don't spend money. I mean, unless, because I was telling you earlier, I'm a Dodger season ticket holder. I mean, I do here and there go out, but I don't go out like everyone else, So most of my money goes to investing. So let's say 20% goes to bills and entertainment, and then 80% goes to investing.
What platform do you use, Mario? Do you use M1 or what do you use?
I strictly use Robinhood. I liked M1, but I just wasn't too comfortable with it. I was really comfortable with Robinhood.
Yeah, gotcha. I didn't remember which platform you use. I was just curious. And so that's obviously an all taxable account. They don't even have IRAs, right?
Oh no. I'm planning to start an IRA after the age of 25.
Gotcha.
A Roth IRA. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or when I start a family, whenever that is, when that time comes, I'll for sure start one. But as of right now, I taxable account works better for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. So for me, I mean, I literally, have a budget, and I budget out what I can invest, but I'm like you. But the good thing is, I've been married for 14 years, and my wife is on board with this as well.
Congrats before you go on.
Yeah. So and she's on board. So like we've discussed, like if there was a market crash, she'd be okay with cutting some other things out and investing more. So it really hasn't happened. I mean, we've had a couple 5% drops, and even in those times, I instead of adding to savings, I added to investments during those times. So that'd be kind of how I balance it. Like you see, if it's a sharp enough drop, I'm actually not going to save that month, and I'm going to invest. So that's how I do it so far.
Nice.
But like I said, if being with my wife's on board, that if we had a big drop, we might eat ramen noodles for a couple weeks and and just put a bunch of money into the market. But anyway, so next question, next to the last one is, do you believe in investing in companies with questionable ethics?
So I am 100% in different ETFs. So naturally, some of my money is going to companies where if I looked really deep dive into their ethics, I probably wouldn't want to invest in them. But unfortunately, I do invest in ETFs, and that is a small, there's going to be a small percent of my money that is in some questionable companies. I think that if a company is growing their dividend, they have a pretty steady yield, and they're growing the company as its own, it should be something to consider to invest in that company, even if you do not believe, even 100% of what they think of.
I'm 50-50 on it. I would really have to look at the company. That's really just about it. If If I believe they're going to be fine, then I'll do it. But if I believe they won't, then I won't do it. So like I said, it's just 50-50 on it. Just depends on it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm of the mind that so it's really too difficult. Even, I mean, I guess if it's a product that someone thinks is, they're not okay with, that's one thing. But to say if a company has questionable ethics, you really even don't even know half of these companies really behind the scenes what's going on. I mean, I worked at 3M, and I worked at 3M for 5 years as a software developer, and they're known as like the most ethical company. They're always in the top 5 ethical companies, but there's lawsuits all over the place, and even in like St. Paul, Minneapolis, where their headquarters is, there's a big lawsuit of like them, spilling stuff into the water and all this other stuff. So even the most the companies that people think are the most ethical, if you really, 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 really dug, you could probably find something unethical. So then that's why you can't run around being a moral judge, and you can't be God. You can't be God, right? Because only God is God. He's the only one that can do it, But not to get off topic, but I think, you know what I mean? I think I guess my end point is, I think if people really dug deep enough, you probably wouldn't invest in anything if that were, your standard of not investing in non-ethical companies.
So the perfect is the enemy of the good. Right? Sometimes good is good enough.
That's right.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah. I mean, it's it's kind of where we are in society. It's kind of hard. All right, and then here's the icing on the cake. It's what age do you hope to retire by? So you might not can say it, Lance, because if your principal is watching, he'd be like,
no, he's gonna be like, whoa, hold on.
I don't think they're too worried. When do I hope is more? I'll say realistically, and hoping is a big difference.
A goal.
A goal of mine. If I'm 56 years old, I will have all the available options for teacher retirement in terms of I could get a pension with, joint survivorship. If I pass away, my wife will get a percentage of income. You could get 1, 2, or 3 years of your pension immediately. So 56 is the magic number there. If I go until I'm about 63 or so, I'm going to have quite a bit higher pension where it should cover all my expenses. So my official answer is I hope to by 56, but I'm more realistically thinking around 63.
How old are you, Lance?
I'm 38 years young.
38.
Still have a little bit of time left.
Okay, yeah. You're good. You're well on your way. For sure.
I want to hear Mario's answer to this.
35 to 40. I'm done.
Well, you better get that.
35 to 40, I should have enough passive income and everything that I want to achieve to be financially free and to just enjoy my family.
Well, you better get that Roth IRA going because, if in a Roth after 5 years you can deduct. You can deduct. You can't deduct what. Go ahead.
The Roth IRA, I would really keep it for my grandkids.
Well, no, what I'm saying is you can
really focus.
You can invest into it and you can take out what you put in. You just can't take out what you've made. So after 5 years, you could still pull out money from a Roth IRA. So and then it's tax free.
Yeah, but like I was saying earlier, I'm really investing so that I could get into real estate investing.
I see.
Which is my main goal. So once I start doing that, hopefully, because I'm like I said, I'm only 19. So that's 15, almost 20 years down the line. Hopefully, I'll be ready to retire by then.
Got you. Yeah, for me, which is like I said, why a bigger portion of my portfolio is in taxable because I'd like to retire by 55. I'm 40 now, so I really would have, and I have I don't talk about it on my channel. I have a 401k as well from a previous company that I haven't that I'm going to roll over into a Roth, but I haven't done it. And so that's going to add to my portfolio overall. And But yes, I have a goal of 55, but it would take some that's why I'm being aggressive, and I will continue to be, really aggressive even more.
You got to be aggressive, bro. You got to be aggressive all the time. Not just a little bit. Come on, man. You got to be focused and dedicated.
Right. But you see, I'm also taking care of some debt, which people hate. You don't ever bring it up on your channel, because if you say you got debt and you're investing, people freak out. But so that's what I'm saying.
I got credit card debt, but it doesn't really matter.
But once I eradicate all my debt, that's when I can really, really get even more aggressive. You'll see if you hang around my channel, you'll see my portfolio. In a couple years, I'm going to really start investing a lot more money. So it'll just start snowballing. So
and thank God you guys don't live in California, where freaking mortgages are almost $4,000.
I don't want to know.
No,
I really
not
don't
even. I'll go visit. Like, I like San Diego. I'm a really big fan of San Diego. Yeah, so we'll go visit.
I'm in San Pedro. I don't know if you ever heard of. It's the LA port. So we have all the shrimp. We have everything here. We have all the seafood and all that. I'm literally like 1 block from the marina, so I can walk down and go to the ocean.
Gotcha. That's cool, man. That's cool. That's beautiful. I like California. It's just I don't like the taxes.
That's why I'm in Texas. No state income tax.
All right. This is what you need out here.
That's right. Well, cool. I think, man, I'm surprised we got this done. It's 40 minutes right now, so it's pretty good. Not too bad. Any last thoughts before we hang it up?
Thank you, JMac and Lance, for having me. And well, that's really about it. Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Same with you, Mario and Jason. It was great to hear your viewpoints on investing, and definitely like to see other viewpoints out there. There's not necessarily one right or wrong way to invest, so I definitely like to hear your opinions, and I think it was very informative for all of us.
Yeah, we could apply it ourselves.
I was gonna say, and to the audience, we'll all put each other's channels in the description of the video. So please check out Lance and check out Mario and check out my channel, and we can continue to discuss investing topics with you all.
Yeah, we should do this once a month or something like that. Yeah, gives each other some updates. That'd be nice. But yeah, whenever you guys have free time, I'm always down for a collab, guys. So.
Sounds good. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and stop the recording.